happen. All right, let's jump into this one, starting at number 10. Here we have the teaching of Dajjal. Now, Dajjal is also known as the false messiah. Muslims believe that he will cause great destruction by his deceptive powers. And Dajjal also is known to be blind in one of his eyes, but certain Islamic traditions depict Dajjal as having just one eye. Now, it's taught that the biggest fitna, or the biggest testing period in the history of humanity, is gonna happen at the time of Dajjal. Number 9 brings us a teaching of Iblis. Iblis in Islam is the personal name for the devil. He's a very demonic creature, and he's set loose on humanity. He spreads evil and misery, everything bad pretty much. Islam teaches that Iblis's punishment is postponed until the day of judgment, and Iblis sometimes can appear in human form, and he does this to carry out certain tasks like recruiting new followers. Jinn possession is at number 8. Now, not all jinn are evil according to Islamic belief. However, the jinn who are evil, that's the type of jinn that would possess a human being. But you know, oftentimes people who are possessed by jinns may not be in agony and pain and screaming and with cuts on their face and going crazy like in the movies. However, individuals, they may get really angry or feel like they're forced to do certain actions without even being able to stop themselves. So there's varying types of jinn possession, but this is one of those teachings in Islam that can get pretty scary for some people. Next up is the teaching of hell. Hell is the ultimate punishment for non-believers according to Islam. Hell is described as being extremely hot, like people are going to be boiling there, and there's going to be a lot of suffering, and it's going to continue for disbelievers as long as God sees fit. Now, it's said though that despite the intense pain that people are going to be experiencing in hell, the worst of all their torments is going to be realizing that they're separated from God. Moving on to the teaching at number 6, this involves Munkar and Nakir. Munkar and Nakir in Islamic belief are two angels who test the faith of those who passed away in their tomb. Munkar and Nakir, they ask a person when they pass away who their Lord is, as well as what is their religion, and also who is their prophet. Now, a believer will answer these questions according to the Islamic belief. Now, unbelievers, they cannot answer these questions, but there are people who are going to give an answer, but they answer in a different way, or some of them actually don't even really believe what they're answering. Those are going to be the ones that will continue to be punished while they're in their graves, and their punishment while they're in their graves is going to last up until Judgment Day, when they get their final punishment. And as a matter of fact, while we're on that topic, I do have a recommended episode. It's our video where we explore facts about hell according to the religion of Islam. Now, I go into a lot more detail about these teachings in that video, so definitely check it out. I'll link to it down below in the video description section. I'll also have it in the card section of this episode. You do not want to miss that one. Moving on to number 5, natural disasters. Natural disasters, according to Islam, are believed to be warnings for those who are sinners. Or in the Quran, you're going to find one passage that says this: "And verily we will make them taste the near torment, the torment in the life of this world, disasters, calamities, etc., prior to the supreme torment in the hereafter, in order that they may repent and return." And you can find this, by the way, in Surah 32 verses 21 in the Quran. Next up at number 4, I want to talk about Gog and Magog. The people of Yajuj and Majuj, also known as Gog and Magog, are said to be very wild people. They're extremely vicious, and they like to destroy things like crops and trees and buildings, pretty much just everything in their path. They'll destroy people if they get in their way. According to Islamic teachings, there was a righteous man known as Zulkarnain, and he made a barrier which to this day has blocked the way for Yajuj and Majuj to come out until the day that they are going to be released from this barrier. But the teaching that is kind of scary about this is that only God knows that day. It could happen anytime. The next Islamic teaching that we're looking at involves Kiramin Katibin. This, by the way, is an Arabic term that translates to honorable scribe in English. These are two angels called Raqid and Atid, and they sit on human shoulders pretty much. I don't know if it's literal or symbolic, but what they do is that they write down everything that a human does or says. Now, on the day of judgment, each person's book of deeds will be read, and in that book, every small and great thing is recorded in there. But one thing to note though is that all the actions before adolescence, they're not included. Now over in the Quran, it says this: that day the people will depart separated into categories to be shown the results of their deeds. So whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it, and whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it. That's taken from Surah 99 verses 6 to 8. The teaching at number 2 is the Daba. The Daba, similar to Christianity, is referred to also in the Bible as the beast. Now the Daba though is generally thought of as a creature that will appear during the end times, and it's one of the major signs of the day of resurrection in Islam. Now the role of the Daba will be to pretty much distinguish the believers from the non-believers. This beast will have the power to light up the faces of the believers, and he'll be stamping the faces of disbelievers. The beast also will be seen for the first time after the sun rises over in the west instead of the east. And the final scary teaching is the teaching of the smoke. When you look at the Quran, Surah 44 verses 10 to 12, you're going to find a passage that says this: then wait you for the day when the sky will bring forth a visible smoke, covering the people. This is a painful torment. Our Lord, remove from us the torment. Indeed, we are believers. It was also mentioned in the hadith that the Prophet Muhammad described the smoke as a peaceful wind causing all the believers to die. So in a way, they're being protected from the torments of the final hour. For the disbelievers though, this is going to feel like a huge punishment for them, because, you know, it will be a great punishment for them. At number 10, hidden. So Jinn, sometimes spelled with a D at the beginning of the word, well, they're supernatural and scary creatures. They were made by God just like humans, and there is an air of mystery surrounding the entire world of the Jinn, who they are, what they do. And as a matter of fact, the literal meaning of the Arabic word Jinn, it means hidden or concealed. So not just that they are hidden and can't be seen with the naked eye, but things about them like their abilities, how they live, where they are, etc., are still a mystery. Although there is some information about what life is like for a Jinn, a lot of it is still mystery. They literally could be anywhere, doing anything. What was that? Was that a Jinn? Okay, I just have to catch my breath there. Moving on to number 9. Jinn, they live for a long time. So we established that jinns, they live in the world and they're concealed from our eyes, and they live in a different dimension, if you want to call it that, and they also do follow a different timeline. And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, according to my research, the Jinn, unlike humans, they can live for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, perhaps even millions of years at this point. So like, this means that they would most likely be smarter than us, and, you know, they would have a lot of time to accumulate knowledge and life experiences. Like, we as humans, for instance, would live, let's say, about 80 years or so, and we think we're smart. But imagine living thousands of years, having thousands of years of knowledge in your brain. Yeah, would definitely make the Jinn a very scary opponent. I'll talk more about that later on in this video though, so keep on watching. But for number 8, there are 3 main types of Jinn. They take many different shapes and forms, and they have other names and types. And one source, a hadith narrated by Ibn Masud, it said that there are 3 main types of Jinn: those who fly, and those who appear in the form of dogs and snakes. And the third kind is one that flies. So they're full of surprises, right? And I think what makes this so scary is that, you know, we as humans, there's like one type, and we can't really fly without the help of technology, but there's no escaping a Jinn. So if you even fly with an airplane, the Jinn can fly and get you. If you try to avoid a Jinn, well, there's nowhere that you can run and go, because they can take on the form of an animal, let's say, and you may just run into it and you don't even know that's a Jinn. That is scary. Well, number 7 brings us the Qareen. So you guys know that our phones listen to us, right? Like you could be talking about buying a new car with a friend and all of a sudden, boom, you're on Facebook or Instagram and you see ads about cars and deals for new cars and all of that, and you're thinking like, oh wow, this is interesting. Also, our phones track our location, but still, in many ways, we can still protect our privacy from companies and the government and from other people. Just turn off the phone or, don't use one. But there's actually no privacy at all when it comes to a type of jinn called Qareen. These guys are on another level. Qareen is a type of evil jinn that stays with a human being all the time. They're literally like assigned to humans, and they know each and everything that a person does. And as if that wasn't bad enough, they encourage you to do bad things. So not only are they literally spying on you, but they have the audacity to make your life worse by, trying to instigate you and doing bad stuff. Number 6 brings us jinns being powerful. So they're physically strong and capable of moving heavy objects almost instantaneously from one place to another. And in some cases, jinn powers, they can be controlled much like humans, and the person who is controlling the jinn's power, well, they can use them for various different beneficial reasons. Like one example is King Solomon, according to Islamic texts, who made the jinn build the Masjid al-Aqsa, also known as the Al-Aqsa Mosque. They can travel large distances quickly, and of course they can fly through the air like I mentioned earlier. But outside of being physically strong and able to have external influences on humans, jinns also have the power to penetrate a person's subconsciousness, and they can almost force humans to do things and feel experiences. This type of phenomenon is called jinn possession. Halfway in at number 5, jinn are very crafty. I touched on this at the beginning of the video, but jinns are creatures with great intelligence. Like, they live forever, they're accumulating a lot of information and learning a lot. So they can lie, they can give false information, they can even play tricks on people. So good luck trying to outsmart a jinn. In many cases, it would be like a toddler competing with a 30-year-old scientist on a chemistry exam. Like, there is no match when it comes to the humans and the jinn's intellect when you put them side by side. It takes a lot of spiritual strength and knowledge and patience to control a jinn, and how to control a jinn still remains a very tricky question, because many people have actually tried to control jinns, but they were not successful, and in some cases they lost their mental health and even lost their lives in the process. So trying to control a jinn is definitely something that's not recommended. Number 4 brings us Ifrit. Ifrit, they are sometimes in different cultures worshipped as gods, but they're not a god. Ifrit is just one type of powerful and evil jinn. The Ifrit is recognized as the spirit of the dead people, and especially in European culture, Ifrit is mostly living underground, so they may marry each other and they have their own societies and everything. And what's also pretty scary is that they can marry humans as well. There are many popular tales that depict an enormous winged creature of smoke, whether in the male form or a female form, but that's the typical depiction of an Ifrit jinn. While ordinary weapons and forces have no power over them, it's believed that they are actually susceptible to magic, which humans can use to kill them or even capture them. But again, yeah, this is an Ifrit we're talking about. The odds of capturing one and controlling one, very slim. Number 3, let's talk about mental health when it comes to jinn. Some Muslim people believe that jinn can be the cause of mental health problems, and also jinn can be the source of having people see visions and hearing voices, as well as other undesired influences. Researchers in the Netherlands have found that up to 80% of Islamic people with a diagnosis of psychosis consider to be the result of a jinn. Now, Western medical practitioners, they often lack information about Islamic culture and religious beliefs. So of course that can make Muslims reluctant to seek any sort of medical advice when it comes to matters like this. But there is some interesting research that suggests that in some Muslim communities, medication and talking therapy for distressing voices is most effective when combined with traditional Islamic methods used to eliminate jinn influence on somebody. The scary fact at number 2 is that jinn target kids. This one is taken from an Islamic source, specifically the Hadith Sunan Abi Dawud 3733. And it says, "Gather your children when darkness spreads, or in the evening, for the jinn are abroad, and seize them." So this can be viewed as a literal seizing or a spiritual seizing. Either way, keep your eye on the kids at nighttime because the jinn are out to get them. And we end this episode off at number 1, the jinn hold grudges. Jinn are not all evil. According to the 1001 Nights, in some of its tales, jinn actually grant wishes to people, and they also help people who are in need. But be careful though, not all jinn are so kind. In the tale of the merchant and the jinni, for example, a merchant is face to face with a powerful and evil jinn who wants to take his life because the merchant accidentally tossed a pit of a date and it hit and killed the jinn's invisible son. While invisible to the merchant, it was an accident, right? So although the merchant is able to remain alive, others may not have been so lucky. So be careful what you throw away. It just might harm a jinn unsuspectingly and leading to a very scary outcome.